Welcome to another edition of Overcome Out Loud with Charlie Smith. This is a podcast that is dedicated to sharing the story of people that have overcome adversity and challenge in their lives to thrive. So many people, that I know, including myself, have suffered in silence by the courageous and vulnerable people that are coming on to share their stories. We're here to give you hope. And today, I am really excited to be joined by Brian Muniz. Did I pronounce that right?
Sure.
Close enough. He says he's an incredible human being. Brian is the assistant coach of the Brazilian wheelchair rugby team. He is a wheelchair bound and has overcome incredible adversity in his life. And I'm just so grateful to have a person like you come on. I've talked to a lot of people that have overcome emotional challenges in their lives, and I've always been very inspired by people that have had, physical limitations, physical disabilities, things brought upon them by life that they didn't plan on, and seeing how they overcome them. And Brian and I had a chance to get introduced over the phone, and had an incredible conversation. I've just been so excited for you to hear Brian's story and have him share what a journey he's been on. So thank you so much for taking the time from Chicago and joining us. Welcome to Overcome Out Loud, man.
Hey, well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. So can you tell us, I always go into first our origin story because it has a lot to do, with how we got here. Can you tell us a little bit about, your young years, the vibrant years, the challenging years, and kind of how you grew up, Bri?
Yeah, sure. No problem. Born and raised in Chicago. My parents were divorced early in my childhood. So by 4 or 5 years old, I was already getting used to other things and other surroundings. But real quick, in Chicago, we grew up in Humboldt Park and in Chicago, which is mostly a Hispanic Puerto Rican area, was in the 80s as well. My father is a Vietnam veteran, Puerto Rican, and alcoholic. So those three mixtures made for an interesting and challenging upbringing, if I can say the least. Of married to my mom for, on paper, probably 30 years, 25 years on paper. But in reality, it seemed to be like about 6 years, because once my father had went to my parents married right before my father was sent to Vietnam. So about a week into all the wonderful marriage, he was shipped off to Vietnam, and just never was the same.
Yeah, I think people, if you don't understand, if you haven't, been informed, that there's a test now that they give to kids called the adverse childhood experiences. And they talk about things that kids that are supposed to feel. So we as kids are supposed to feel safe in our environment. We're supposed to be protected by our parents, and we're supposed to feel safe and secured. And there's a number of things that they consider to be adverse childhood experiences that can predict, induction into violent behavior, into substance abuse, and into other kind of unhealthy behaviors. And one of them is early divorce. So at the age of 5, that family unit that you think of, safe, mom and dad growing up, house, roof over my head, that goes away. And then an alcoholic father, which, having raised my children alcoholically. So I'm 13 years clean and sober now, but my kids from, they were 9 and 11 when I got sober. So I have to own the fact that for a number of years, I was an alcoholic father, raising 2 children and creating unsafe environment for them in terms of their unpredictability about my mood, how I was going to come home, if I was going to be home. And for them, again, needing security and safety, as you did, Brian, the loss of that leaves us a bit lost, I guess, is for lack of a better term. And we don't know it at the time. We don't know how to define, in our young mind, how to frame it. But if you were to look back, you'd say you kind of felt a little lost and a little different than everything else that was going on, huh?
Yeah, for sure. You really don't, and I didn't at the time. You don't do any self-evaluation at 4 or 5 years old. You're just going through, going looking for the ball, looking for playing friends, and everybody's a new friend and everything's exciting. But that period was tough, because we had 5 in our family, and my father was more interested in in women, womanizing, and alcohol than he was in being a father and showing us the right thing. I'm not throwing blame and throwing it all on him, but this was just, it's
It's a
just what
reality.
I went through.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
reality of
reality.
you being a kid. I mean, we don't pick our parents and we don't pick our environment, but it would be wrong for us. It's not, and again, I so appreciate you saying that because it's really not about blame. It's just about the truth. It's just acknowledging that as a kid that
Yeah,
this affected me.
yeah. So, that mixed in with the violent behaviors and mood swings of the alcoholism and things that we saw. I mean, I've seen my father punch my mother over a lazy boy couch. I've seen him hit my stepmother in the face with an ashtray, a marble ashtray. And you're talking about 6 years old, 7, 13 years old, 12 years old. I'm not talking 25-year-old man. I'm talking about a kid. So anyhow, we saw my father on the weekends, and he picked us up for boxing. His thing was sports, and maybe his lifetime dream was to become the next Don King. I don't know, but he had 3 boys and 2 daughters. So us 3 guys, we were boxing. We were boxing from 6 years old. I boxed until 18. My brother turned professional for 1 or 2 fights, and my other brother just kind of just went through the motions with us just to be in it, so Dad didn't get on his ass too much. So we did that for a while, and during those years of boxing, my father had a gym, and we would spend nights helping him build his dream. School nights. I'm not talking Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We were there Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, midnight, 2 a.m. Father's drinking with the guys, building a shower downstairs. Just a bunch of stuff that just confusing at this point. If I look back at it and try to explain it, it's just confusing. There's no structure. There was no I want my son to be educated. I want you know what I'm saying? There was no plan.
I do. And I'll just draw a contrast when we learn how to cope with things, but you want that closeness with your dad, but really the life was about your dad's life. There was the selfishness. And I know this as a 20-year substance abuse battler, we were very selfish and self-centered. And so it was really it wasn't about what you young boys and girls wanted to do. And it was about what he wanted you to do, where he wanted you to be. And so you became part of his world, and your world gets small because you're really just existing in what Dad wants you to do. But for you, I'm sure it's like, hey, at least I'm with my dad. So you're trying to just rationalize this existence.
Yeah, no, it was looking back at it. It was the best times of our relationship
Right.
because it did give us that father son time. And anything I did in boxing was to show him, hey, look at me. And even playing rugby years later, when he came to one of my games, I was just thinking about it this morning that one of my teammates said, wow, you're playing a hell of a game, I guess, because your father's here, huh? And it just makes that much of a difference,
Right.
And here
Absolutely.
I am, maybe a little emotional about it even.
Yeah, of course, dude. For sure.
Yeah.
This podcast is like the old Roy Firestone Couch Man. I don't know many people who have come on here who haven't shared a tear, man, because look, we're going back and we're reflecting on stuff in a safe place and with people that care about us, and it's gonna come up. But yeah, I'm sure it lifted you up to see him there, dude. Appreciate you.
Yeah. So anyhow, Dad taught us about boxing, and if anybody gets in your face, you knock them out. You don't argue. You handle it. Boxing, it's funny though, because boxing, as much as I've seen him be violent to my mother and two things, boxing showed me how to calm that, how to tame that.
Yeah.
It was just weird. And I say it's only weird because it never taught him to do that, I guess, but it taught me. I never in my life hit a woman, never will, never been aggressive in that way towards somebody, weaker of an opposite sex. So with me, boxing taught me to restrain and to keep that, only to perform when the bell rings. So that was part of all my toughness of growing and being the only thing he showed me was that. He didn't show me how to be a man, how to take care of family. I can remember when I was in 8th grade, he brought a girl by that was a neighbor that he was having an affair with to show me her breast. And I was in eighth grade. And, these are the things my father showed me. My father showed me how to cheat on the women, how to make a phone number, turn a phone number into a math problem so they won't find it. He showed us how to stay out all night. And if you come home in a pissed off mood, the woman leaves you alone, the wife leaves you alone. So you go to bed. You just come in and just throw your fit and go to bed. My father had his girlfriend living with us. My mother and him had a room. His girlfriend had the back room, and 5 kids in the house. Just
Wow.
crazy. Just
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've
Brian,
seen my father stab guys at picnics. Go ahead.
No, no,
Charlie.
no, no. I just wanted to ask you because I'm so curious, only from my own experience growing up in my own version of a violent house. I had you portray this exterior, this tough exterior that came from boxing. I'm curious about how you, looking back, if that matched your insides. Did you feel like you fit in with other kids? Did you have bouts of insecurity? What coping skills did you learn? Because when you have that kind of dysfunction, you have that kind of unpredictability. So when's the violence going to come? When's dad going to hit mom? Is dad going to be home? Am I safe? Am I not safe? We learned to cope. How did you learn to cope, and how did you feel about yourself, bro?
Thinking back, I thought I felt pretty good about me, but I was bullied. I was the bully. I wasn't beating up on kids, but I would definitely pick on and be the clown of the class clown and all that. I was top of my class in sports, football and all that stuff was just Chicago stuff. So it wasn't really anything on the field. Anything we did sports, I told you before, we played football on the street. We played football after school in the play lot, and that was our league. So it wasn't really anything real big like they have now, soccer leagues and all these things. But anything I did was through sports and through clowning and making fun and education. I didn't give a shit about. I didn't care about it. I was there. I didn't know. I had no idea what the connection was. What am I doing here?
Right.
My teacher told me you're just going to be a gangbanger on the corner anyway, this and that. And it's just, I guess my coping thing was making fun of others and sports.
Yeah. Yeah, they work. I mean, it was a shield for you, especially the external toughness. And I mean, I don't know about, for me, school was a bit of a minefield. I mean, it's hard to go from kind of a violent, chaotic upbringing into sitting down and learning math facts. I mean, did I value school or not? I don't know. I mean, I went because I was supposed to, but my report card looked like the teachers were using every ounce of red ink in their quill, because I couldn't differentiate that school was safe and home was unsafe. And so I couldn't pay attention. I was literally a mirror image of you. I was more of the flight. So because my dad was so abusive towards me, I was more the afraid versus the aggressor. You witnessed the abuse, and so you took on more the role of the bully or the stronger person growing up.
Yeah, but still too there, Charlie. It doesn't mean that I was confident in any way.
Right.
Because even now today, playing rugby, I look back as my childhood. Football in high school for me was a blur, because I didn't have that confidence. Braggadocious. I wasn't loud. What football looks for. The football looks for a Ray Lewis. I had the moves, the Walter Payton moves from playing football on the streets, but I didn't have the confidence to go with it, to stick with it.
Yeah.
And that was brought out in high school football, which I kind of stayed with for 1 year. And after I wasn't noticed, and I just kind of said, hey, screw these people. They don't like me. I don't like them. So going back to real quick, my neighborhood there was gangs and drugs and low income housing, So that was my inspiration in life, Charlie. That was my inspiration. Either I wanted to be a boxer, ball player, or I wanted to be a drug dealer. Yeah, I wanted to be the guy. I wanted to be that guy.
Yeah, you had a vision and an image that was created in essence in the environment you grew up in, and so that's what you equated with success. And so, where did your path lead you, having been surrounded by that? Which happened? The boxer, the drug dealer, or both?
Well, they kind of both happened. A little history also too. My grandfather used to run numbers in Chicago. So he was mafia, and that got me, that was in my head. I'm mafia, I'm mafioso, I'm from family, mafia family. So my father didn't like it. He went to the army and all that. But so sports took me as far as silver gloves. I did one bout in golden gloves, lost to the guy who won. That was my claim to fame. Nate Jones was a guy I beat twice. No, I beat him three times actually. And when we were kids, Nate Jones won a bronze medal. I looked it up and I thought it was silver. I was trying to hype up my story, but he won bronze medal, I think, in '96, Nate Jones, and I beat him three times. So I went as far as like 17 years old into boxing, and then kind of just, I was already getting high with marijuana at the time, 16 years old, uh, hanging with the friends. My mother shipped me to the suburbs to live with my father because eighth grade, then you go into high school. Once you go into high school in Chicago, it's basically gangland. High schools are either you're with it or you're not. So I went to high school, tried to follow the football thing with my father thing. That didn't last long. So then it was weekends coming back to Chicago, hanging out with the guys, smoking weed, doing the things, drinking beers and just trying to be a knucklehead. That kind of bled off. No more sports. The sports faded away with that. So it was years of chasing that lifestyle and smoking weed. And then high school dropped out. When I found out that I can sign myself out of high school, I called in the same day and, hey, I'm not coming in today. I'm an adult. I'm 18. So, with that, I went to California with a buddy of mine with the one-way bus ticket, thinking I'd go to Cali and get a job and live a life. And he was a weed buddy of mine that we used to hang out and started selling little weed here and there. And so we went to California and I fell on my face, flat on my face, stayed at his uncle's house for about 2 days, 2 or 3 days. He had daughters my age and he didn't want any trouble. So he set us up with a hotel for a couple of days. Once I ran out of money there, my brother picked me up. He was in basic training in Oklahoma, Fort Sill, Oklahoma. With that, I went to Oklahoma for a little bit, smoking weed still and everything. I can remember still my brother telling he grabbed my jacket one day to go to the store, and I had weed in the pockets and smelled. That was my jacket. That was my smoking jacket, So he came back to the house and tried to tell me, Brian, what are you doing, man? He said, you got weed in your pockets. I'm at the store. I don't know if I'm gonna get pulled over. I get home, I said, bro, don't wear my jacket. That's not my fault. I was a knucklehead. I didn't take the educated, the mature route and say, hey, I'm sorry, man. I said, that's my fucking jacket. Don't wear it. That's not the right way.
Yeah, man. It's funny because I've been a bit of a runner for a lot of years, and I've learned wherever I go, there I am. And it sounds like, you're sitting there in your same skin, in a different zip code, but at the same time, you got all the skills that you learned growing up about how you feel about yourself. And it's interesting, right? Because we really do create the life that we think we deserve. I mean, we will become the person we conceive ourselves to be. So when I hear, drug dealer and teachers telling me gangbanger, all of a sudden we start to see ourselves a certain way, and then our subconscious mind believes that's all we'll become, then our behaviors support that narrative. And so, you've got the chaotic and dysfunctional upbringing. You've got your escape, which was drugs, alcohol, and a little bullying and clowning off. And all you did is you picked up and took that to California and found that it had a very short runway. But if we don't change who we are, it doesn't matter where we go. And that's, Oklahoma, California. I think you were, in reflection again, looking back, going, yeah, you were just learning that unless you changed who Brian was, that you were going to keep, having a short runway.
Yeah. Yeah. So in Oklahoma, I continued the same old same, man. I got a job at I think they called it Oak Tree back in the day. And it was men's clothing. And you come in and buy a shirt, I give you pants. You buy pants, I give you a shirt. It wasn't my store. I was just a salesman. And I didn't think so. The manager called me one day and said, Brian, I'm going to give you one chance. Tell me the truth. You selling, are you stealing clothes from here? I said, no. He said, okay, you're fired. I said, oh, come on, so that was it. So I was trying the same things, the same ghetto mentality, the same that I had in Chicago. Like you were saying, wherever you go, there I am. So anyway, still drugging and smoking and things. And finally, my brother had enough of me, and he had a life and a wife of his own and things. And got me money back to Chicago. Coming back to Chicago, I figured I'd get married to my high school sweetheart, because that was the next step in life, right? You're 18, you got to get married and be a man and do these things that dad did or whoever did, So came back to Chicago and got married and got a job. 18, 19, I'm married. Working at an insurance company downtown Chicago with my mother, that she got me in as a file clerk. And I used to take 2-hour lunch breaks. I turned my lunch break into a smoke weed, go have sex, and go drink a 6-pack of beer and come back to work. And that lasted probably for about 4 or 5 years, Married my high school sweetheart, had a daughter at 21, 22. And by then I was selling pounds of weed with my buddies from Chicago. So we had, our fridge had a pound in it at least, for sure, every day. And so I was making a little money, insurance company, smoking, doing, being a man, being a guy, supporting my family. Staying out till 4 or 5 in the morning. Then I started doing cocaine with my buddy. And that was missing days of work and disappearing and not being the new dad that I should be. Womanizing, chasing women, having affairs at work. And the relationship fell apart, obviously. I didn't do shit to help it, so I blamed that on her, that she didn't know how to cook. She didn't know how to clean. She wasn't doing her womanly things that keep me there. I'm out of here. Just being selfish Brian. So I met a lady that was 40. She was probably about 38, I believe, at the time. And I was 25. She had a Cadillac. She had a nice house. She had everything that I thought was, what a woman. Wow, that's a woman. That's a woman. She could take care of me. She cooked and cleaned and got a house. And wow, I'm done. So I told my ex I'm out and moved in with this woman. And one day she was going to her office job that I thought. Came out of the closet, nervous, walk-in closet, and I startled her, and I was wondering why. So she left the house and went on her way. I went into the closet, and I found the ounce of cocaine. I said, wow, that's what it is. That's why she's nervous. So I put the ounce of cocaine on the table. Well, I put an ounce of sugar on the table in water and left it for her to find when she came home. That was a don't lie to me sign. And I took the ounce of cocaine to Humboldt Park to Chicago. And my guys were loving it. They said, this is pure stuff, man. This is 100%. So that ended up being about an $800, $900 transaction right there that I figured, okay, that's what it is. And then marijuana, a pound of marijuana is this, 1,000, 1,200. Ounce of cocaine is a little baseball. Wow, that's a lot better than what I'm doing with weed. So let me try this. So anyhow, she came home and we had to talk, and I told her, I said, hey, I'm the man of the house. Let me run the drugs. You stay home. And I guess I fell right into what she wanted, probably. She probably set all that up now that I think about it. Because once I was shot later, and I'll get to that, but she had told my mother that, oh, you find those guys a dime a dozen in Chicago.
Which guys?
The young guys willing to sell cocaine.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You stay home while I do the drugs.
Isn't it remarkable the life that, we literally, when I go back, I'm thinking about what you were saying when you were dropping out of high school, saying I was just going to be a drug dealer. And our mind, our conscious mind is the goal setter and our subconscious is the goal getter. And, I think obviously we can use that either way. And both of us, created the lives that we thought we deserved, and until we ran out of a runway and had some, spirit, some kind of awakening that caused us to change. But you just, when we don't live by principles and we live by, preferences, money, cars, external material things, and we chase those things, you were chasing but never feeling probably satisfied, huh?
Oh, for sure, for sure. Um, Actually, Charlie, one, and I think it's an important part of my story, and it's kind of weird, but at midnight, I was in front of a mirror, and we all heard this, you sell your cell and sold your cell to the devil midnight, and Mary Magdalene, will you marry me? Whatever they call those things. And so I took it to be serious. I was going through things, and I was struggling, and even with her when I first met her with the drugs, and we're selling stuff, and we still had a little house, and just wasn't the life that it wasn't that Scarface life. So I said, damn it, I was desperate, and what I did, I believe to have sold my soul at midnight to get three things in life: nice car, nice house, and money. So the first thing that came, Charlie, I swear to God, was the car. I got the car, and I was like, okay. I didn't think about, oh, this is the first, it came through. One came through. Now next two.
Right.
Then came the money. Then came the big house. Then came the lifestyle of all the women, the cars, and the drugs. We were selling a kilo probably every 2 months. So a kilo, once we break down my kilo, we would take out $9,000. So I would get the kilo, I would cut 9 ounces out. That's my profit. I'd package it again with other things to then sell it to this main guy who would buy the kilo for his bar every 2 months. So I had one main guy customer, and then the little guys was my profits. So I did the 9 for profits, and every 2 months I made sure Tito was happy. We did that. And meanwhile, you just don't, I told you I was using too. But see, we were using an 8-ball a day. And I had that in control. So I wasn't going over like I was going to be overdosed. Even though one day I did fall out of the car, rolling eyes and everything. My buddy stuck a lighter in my mouth to help me out so I won't swallow my tongue, I guess he said. So, all that kind of was fun and nice for a while. But it just seemed to be like it came to fruition.
It came to fruition.
Yeah.
And was it enough? Did it satisfy you? Did it make you feel like Brian that you always wanted to be?
No, Charlie, I didn't even want to be at that house.
Yeah.
I chose the 8-ball, the dusty couch, the roach infested home of my friend that we could sell the coke and stay there. And I didn't want to have anything to do with the big house. At the house was my wife, her daughter of 18, her boyfriend of 19, their newly whatever child, and my ex-wife also had a son that was 16, smoking weed in the room and doing all his shit. So I didn't want to be home. I'd be home for the night for 3, 4 in the morning and be out at 10 in the morning, right back to that apartment in Chicago. So
Yeah.
no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It was scary that it was all true, that it all happened, that I asked, but I didn't really think about it. I thought I was riding high, chasing women and all the other.
Here's my philosophy. It'd be interesting in retrospect to see how this lines up with you. So I think, we have this internal belief about who we want to be, and I know from, the innocence that is a young child, that you wanted to be a good guy, that you didn't want to recreate what your dad created. You didn't want to treat women that way. You didn't want to treat your children that way, that you saw what he did and wanted something different. Yet this narrative tells us what we're going to become. And so our subconscious mind, that's what we believe that we're able to achieve. And then you have these unhealthy behaviors. You know, you can't be a preacher on Monday, and you can't be a good dad on Monday and cutting up coke in the closet on Tuesday. It's, you know, you have this incongruency in your life. So you want the world to see you this way. You want to have the peace and joy that comes from living this way, but you're living this way. And ultimately, you know, I say you can pass the house test, you can pass the car test, you can pass the money test, but you can't pass the look in the mirror test, because when you do, the guy you see is like, man, how did I get here? You know, how come I feel like this? I got the money, but it's not the money and the car and the wife. It's how you get it and how you feel while you're getting it that keeps making you feel inadequate. And so you get this kind of destination disease of, you know, now I got all these things and I'm still not satisfied.
Boy, that's so true, Charlie. And when you said that look in the mirror thing, man, I remember days that I would go to that dusty apartment, go into that dirty bathroom, look in that mirror and see this guy like, that's me. That's me. I wanted to commit suicide, Charlie. And
Yeah.
the only reason I didn't, I swear, the only reason I didn't was because my daughter.
Yeah.
The only reason. So, wow.
Yeah,
That
man.
mirror took me back, man. That took me back to a dark place. But again, just being that, not wanting to be what my father was. I want to be more for my daughter is what kept me going even till today. Is my why, as you can see.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you know, I had my daughter. She was 2, 3, 4 years old as I had that house, the big house in Orland Park, had tennis court, we had a swimming pool and all that. And I didn't want to be there. So she would come visit me on the weekends. And you know, I don't got time for this, you know, this kid. I'm tired. I enjoyed it, but it was mostly, you know, shove it off onto my ex-wife now, shove it off onto them and get me through this and on to the next day where I can make more money and just get out of here and on and on. And I didn't see an ending. I didn't have a plan. I didn't know, you know, we all think about, or now we all think about it, but maybe there's a time where we think about getting something and now what, you know, and now what is what you got to, is I found you got to continually ask yourself, and then what? And then what?
Yeah,
You know?
we had a guest on a few weeks ago, and this will resonate with you, because he said it's not the pursuit of happiness, the pursuit is happiness, and the pursuit is just the daily participation, the daily, you know, achieving of things that are aligned with your values. It's like, you know, if I can get up in the morning and be a good person and have a goal of doing something, I just contribute a little bit every day to the pursuit, the persistent pursuit of that goal, that's the happiness. And that the destination is just, it's just you know, a place in the future that maybe the process will get me there, but really I got to enjoy every day.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I didn't, and that lasted, Charlie, for about it seemed like 5 years, but maybe it was even 3 years. You know, I have no thought of time, how the time that I went through there, but let's say it was 4 years. It was the same for 4 years. Clubs, selling, get the money, come home, tell a lie, go back at it the next day. Every day was Saturday for me, and I wasn't going anywhere. FBI came to my house, raided the house. That didn't stop us. They were looking for the guy that was staying with us. His brother was our connection. They really never knew. I blamed it on him. It was just, you know, on and on. So there was no stopping me. They pulled me over. I had an ounce of cocaine. I stuck it in the grass. I got away with that. I drove drunk. I smashed light poles. I crashed cars. They miscounted drug money, $10,000. I spent that on the weekend in a club, crashed a car, demolished that. It was a mess. There was no stopping me. There
Yeah, a
was no
little
stopping me.
reckless entitlement, and really, you know, it's funny that to hear you say this, because you've used the word, you know, enjoyable and fun as you're talking about falling out of a car, having a lighter put in your mouth, having FBI. I mean, it's like that seems like a normal life. It's like you create this life, and you can't imagine anything else, and so you just say this is normal, and this is how I exist, and I'm just going to survive this, and so where did things turn for you, man? Where did this, because this party looks like it ended, man. It didn't end
Yeah,
well.
yeah, no, it did. And I wanted more. I wanted
Yeah.
more. I wanted younger. I didn't want the old wife now. I wanted a younger woman. I got the clients, I got the money, I got everything. I wanted a young one. So that's where it kind of twisted a little bit to where I had a fake job and a fake name at a Dodge dealership. And the general manager was one of my clients, was about probably a half an ounce a week. So that's about $500. You know, that's between me and him. Of course, he did. You want a job? Yeah, I got a job for you. Work over there. You don't got to sell any cars. Just fucking supply me with Coke. Anyhow, I met a woman at that dealership, a young woman, and started dating her while I was married to the supplier. And just word got around. I finally came up and told her too that, hey, I'm done. I don't love you anymore. In that way, we can work together. I can help you. I like the business. I like the money. I don't like you. So, yeah, okay, sure. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, okay, no problem. So, about 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Again, this time thing is just strange with me sometimes because it could have been 3 months, but for me it was 2 3 weeks. So I'm gonna say 3 weeks after the separation, we had a safe house kind of deal. That's where I was staying at, where we kept the drugs on the south side of Chicago. And I told her, I'm living there, I'm working here. You need help, call me. Pop. Okay. So a couple of weeks into it, she calls me, says, hey, the people I work with, they have cocaine down in the basement. If you come at night, I'll give you the code and all this stuff, and we can rob them together and blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah, let's do it. Give me the code. Let me know. I'm calling my guides. I said, hey, she knows somebody. We can get kilos now. Let's rob them and this. So I called her on that night she says, and she says, no, it didn't happen. It's not going to happen. Okay, no problem. Go back to my thing, doing my thing every day, blah, blah, blah. One night I come home from the dealership. I got a Dodge Caravan. Just smoked a joint, came home feeling good, ready to party with the boys, 11 o'clock at night. I'm parking my van. And as I park my van, I see two guys across the street. I'm not worried. I'm 6 feet. I'm about, 200 pounds, 210. And we can do this if you want to. So one guy came across the street, skinny guy, skinny crackhead. That's all I could think of, skinny ass guy. So he comes to my door, covers his face and says, hey, get out of the car. I got a gun. And I said, holy shit. I told him, fuck you. I got a gun too. So I reached, but I didn't have a gun. I just wanted to take off my seatbelt, get out, one to the body, one to the head, and tear him up. So I got out thinking I'm Bruce Lee, smoked the joint. Okay. Smoked that joint. So that probably gave me a little more gusto. Jumped out of the car, went at him, ducked down, went down for one shot. Bang. One shot right here. A little 22. That's why I went at him, because it was a little 22, which is more dangerous than a big 45. So anyway, little 22 shot me right there. Got into my spinal cord. Done. Knockout. I fell straight onto the floor. He rolls me over, and I'm a quadriplegic that I have no idea what the hell a quadriplegic was or is.
Right.
So I'm laying on the ground on the street. He rolls me over and he tells me, if you get up, I'm going to run you over. And I told him, dude, what did you do to me? I can't even move.
No arm. You couldn't move your arms or your legs.
I couldn't move nothing. I was like
Wow.
shocked, like electric alien shocked me. And that's what had me freaking out. And I seen my buddies get shot before and run and figure, oh my God, look, I got a gunshot. Oh, it's a 22. So I thought nothing of it. You're probably full of questions, Charlie. Go ahead.
No, I'm just,
Okay.
look, it's just amazing how life turns on such a short time. But again, is it a surprise the life you're leading led to life turns on a dime, but by the same token, when you run in circles, you pick up both ends of the stick. You can't be running coke, cutting up deals, thinking about robbing people, and not run the risk of FBI, of overdose, and of gun violence. And we don't always know. I think there's so many lessons in there. It's like, yeah, people get shot and run, and people get shot and and don't run. And so, this was not obviously the result that you expected. And so there you are on the ground. This guy's over you. He let you go.
No, well, I had a Gucci watch on, had a Gucci watch, which was about $1,000.
Goodbye, Gucci.
And I had my wallet. That was part of his payment. My ex-wife told him he got a Gucci watch and take his wallet. So he took off my watch and reached in my jacket, took my wallet. He left in the van and took off. I'm laying on the floor. I get a momentum thing, and I flip over to my stomach, and I just kind of like what I can to put my hand up at traffic or into the street. There was no cars. It was 11 o'clock on a side street in Chicago. There's nothing happening. So a neighbor saw me, and they came out. And meanwhile, my guy, Jimmy, that I've been getting high with, free 8 balls for the last 5 years, is in the apartment looking at me, scared, not even helping me. Wow. So he probably saw the guy over me and everything, and just frozen in fright, whatever, panic. So the neighbor, I told him, sit me up. So they sat me up, and at this point, I don't have any balance. So if I sit me up on a bed, I'm like, I'm a jellyfish, So he sat me up, and that's exactly, I was jellyfish. I'm like, lay me back down, no way. So he laid me down and just called the ambulance, and from there they took me to the hospital. Took me straight away to the hospital.
Do you remember the diagnosis? Do you remember the doctor telling? I mean, because I'm sure. Yeah. You're rationalizing and denying that this is as serious as it is. I mean, you probably know it's serious. You don't know what happened to you. I mean, I love, you actually said, "What did you do to me?" It's like, dude, I fucking shot you. And I don't know what else I did to you. Right.
Yeah. I didn't know. So I'm in the hospital. I had a fever. I don't even know what it was, but I was melting bags of ice for the first 2-3 days. I was just in a hyper shock. Just my body was it was a mess. So my sister, my mother were there, all friends, everybody gone. Everybody I got high with, nobody. Famous big guy on the block, nobody no more. So everybody's gone. My mom and my sister there, just troopers, man, just helping me and doing miracles. Okay. So they tell you what they tell you at the hospital, but you're at one hospital, it's kind of an in-between. So you're at one trying to get to the main one. I was trying to get to Rehab Institute of Chicago, which is now the Shirley Ryan Ability Center, which not only does, but mostly does spinal cord and stroke victims and brain trauma. Big time hospital, good guys. They're the ones that get you going. So my mother found that out, and I was in the south side of Chicago in a hospital. I was just bad, dirty, just bad. She's like, no, you got to get out of here. I was telling her, because they had me on so much morphine and stuff. I was telling her there was kids under my bed playing with my feet. I said, I can see outside. There's cars out. There's people out there looking for me. FBI's out there. They're coming. We got to get out of here. Just freaked out. So she told the doctors, look, I didn't bring my son in here nuts, and he's not going to leave here nuts. So I don't know what you guys are doing, but ease up on the medications. So anyhow, she got into this, they got her into looking for Rehab Institute of Chicago. She said, I'm getting you out of here. So I was gone in about 3 or 4 or 5 days. I was gone from there into the Rehab Institute of Chicago, which I'm like, okay, I guess this is better for me. But I still didn't really have the diagnosis of, it wasn't the soap opera scene of the doctor yet saying you're not going to walk, so that didn't happen yet. So it was just getting through, coming down off of all that. So once you're in the rehab, that's where you get the diagnosis, and then they evaluate and say. So my first thing was bathroom stuff. I didn't use the bathroom for like 10 days. I'm talking number 2. I'm like, so I asked my dad. So he came around, and I asked him. I said, "What is it? What the hell is that?" He said, "It's just something your body goes through. They're gonna have to, eventually take it out or have to give you something." And so it was the bathroom thing that first hit me, and then my hands. I'm a quadriplegic, so again from here down, I don't have the balance, and you don't have the hand strength. And that could be a millimeter down, a millimeter up. It makes you a full good hand or not hand at all. So after that, they broke that down to me. And I still, even after they said you're quadriplegic and da-da-da, and I was in the hospital for 2 months.
Jesus.
The first month was basically just trying to get you up. I laid down probably the first 3-4 weeks. I'm laying down. I had a patch in my head because I laid down so much. So finally, after a month, they can get you up. They finally tell me, we're going to measure you for a wheelchair. And I said, no. I drank a lot of milk. What do you mean? My bones are strong. I box. I'm a healthy guy. 1 bullet? 1? 22? She said, you ain't walking no more, Brian. You ain't walking. Your hands, that's as good as your hands are going to get. I was crying. I was like, what? So,
yeah, I mean, take a second. I mean, that's.
Yeah, I will.
Man, that's life-changing, to say the absolute least. I mean,
it was, but it was what I needed, Charlie. The car accidents, the fights, the whatever drama I went through wasn't enough. I've always been the guy that you need to grab me and shake me up, and then now I'm gonna okay, a little. Hey, come on, let's go.
I don't want to fast forward, because this is but I have to tell you, if what happened created the man that I've gotten to know over the last week and that I'm sitting here talking to, then God bless that bullet, because I think the other guy ain't here. I don't think I get to meet the other guy. I don't think I ever meet the other guy. I don't think I ever want to meet the other guy, but I don't think that guy's here. And so if that skinny crackhead put a bullet in you to give us this Brian, man, I mean, it sounds fucking weird, but thank him, because I don't think I'd know you otherwise.
Charlie, there was an article written on me when I had not to pass anything, but I had made USA team for rugby, and the guy came out and wrote an article. He called it "Baptized by a Bullet."
Yeah,
perfect article. So you're not walking anymore. Don't measure me for a wheelchair. They said, we have to, Brian. We got it. That's our job. At least we have to. I said, okay, well, if you got to do it, you got to do it. You got to leave in 2 weeks, Brian. Either you leave it on a skateboard or you leave it in a wheelchair that we supply you with.
Did you have, obviously I've seen you now and I've seen some of the workouts you do. I mean, you've got a lot of arm strength back. Did that from the time you were shot and on the ground by the minivan to the time you're getting out, did you start to regain movement in your arms, or was that through rehab, or how did you recover to where you are now?
Well, it all comes back slowly.
Uh-huh.
And again, everybody's different. So
right.
What I say about me isn't going to go for everybody. But that's what doctors told me, and is what was one of the things that frustrated me. Is that, what do you mean everybody's different? He's the same as me, C6, C7, and he's walking. Brian is different. Okay, fine. So, God, where were we going, Charlie? I forgot a little bit.
We're just now at the hospital, and you're getting measured for a wheelchair. You've kind of come to terms with this, with the fact that you are now, going to be disabled permanently, and what that's like. Where you're, what happens when you? I mean, obviously, you went into the hospital, a drug dealer and a criminal and a womanizer and a user, and now you're coming out of the hospital in a wheelchair. What happened, dude?
Okay. So I remember too, you were saying about the upper body strength, how it comes back. So it comes back gradually. And my thing, I've always been an athlete. I've always believed in me, my strength and whatever. So I told him, where's the gym? Even if I'm in the hospital, we're in here for a month, I'm sitting up now, where's the gym? So they started taking me upstairs to the gym, doing TheraBands, doing everything little by little, little steps. They sat me up on the bed and they tried to reach for a ball. And I was sitting up for the first time. And I told the doctor, because I couldn't do it. You lay down for a month and you sit up, you're like SpongeBob, you're Jelly Bob, So anyway, so he got the ball out there and he's trying to get me to reach for it and come back to my position. I'm like, why are you fucking with me? Leave me alone. He said, Brian, I'm not. I'm getting you to the point where you can get out of here and have a life. So I said, okay. So started doing all the workouts, doing everything like that. Then they showed me a video of wheelchair rugby in the hospital.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm thinking, no way. No fucking way. I'm in a wheelchair and these guys are falling out of the chair. No. So, I let it go. And there was a lady, one of my therapists, her husband was a player on the team. She said, don't worry about it. You can do this. Worry about all that other stuff later. I showed it to you. Give it time. When you're ready, we'll be there for you. Come play.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Because it's really hitting me. It's just a little something you just said. You lived a life of instant gratification. I cut this up, I sell this, I get the car, I move, I get this. And what you just said something so profound for me, which was I had to start doing the little things. There was I can't just lift 50 pounds again. I got to start lifting an ounce, and I got to lift an ounce every day, a little bit every day in order to get a little better. And you never had that muscle worked out before, that patience muscle, that if I do a little, a lot, I can make big changes.
No.
Man, that to me was like transformative.
That's big, Charlie, because it's a little embarrassing to talk about, but I will because I need to. But it goes into the bathroom stuff.
Yeah.
It goes into bathroom. It goes into living, cooking, cleaning your house, cleaning your body, taking care. I was a baby again. So you want to talk little steps, picking up the fork with these hands. Now, I used to be right-handed. Now I'm left-handed. I used to write right-handed. I used to draw. Now I got to do everything with this guy because this is the best hand I got. I don't have this anymore. There is no gripping pens. So just those little picking up a fork. No, it's left-handed. Now I eat left-handed. Now I throw left-handed. And I write. So those are the little, oh my God, yeah, little steps, man.
Yeah, but look at the man that the little steps have created. I mean, the instant gratification guy, the big life guy, the caddies, the house, that guy was digging a grave, and the guy taking little small simple steps in the right direction he's inspired. Yeah. He's inspiring himself. He's not looking at his limitations. He's not saying, okay, my right hand doesn't work. My left hand's going to be strong. I mean, to me, and when I talk to people about overcoming, it's just starting to move little bit by little bit in the right direction. And all of a sudden you gain that compound effect, you gain that momentum. But what you were really gaining, what it feels like to me, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it feels like the real Brian. It feels like this is the real young man that was running from himself for so long. This is who we always wanted to know, or who you always wanted to know.
A little bit. It's hard to hear that a little bit, Charlie, because it puts me in a light, or in a sense that I'm good, that I'm perfect, and it's not that. It's far from that, And it's not that I'm bad now or anything like that.
Let me reframe that. You're getting better. None of us are perfect, man. I mean, there's nobody who's ever been on this podcast, but you're not living the life you used to lead.
No,
you're not living the life you used to lead, and you're making small, simple changes in the direction of who you want to be. And that to me is just, it's what overcoming is. And the guy that went into that hospital, I'm reminded of George Mumford, who's a mentor of mine, a close friend of mine. He's worked with the Lakers and the Bulls. Remember, George, he went into detox when he was young for heroin, and he always reminds me that the guy that went into the detox had to be different than the guy that came out, or he was going to end up right back where he started. And so all I'm witnessing is just, or acknowledging, is the guy that went into that hospital, something happened to you in there.
Yeah, I think it's from my childhood, Charlie, a little bit, that I've been a second place guy. First place, I could be first place, but second place is easy. I can finish second. No one looks at me. No one questions. No one gets into your shit. Second place. So I've always kind of fallen aside to the other guy. Nate Jones, let him go to the Olympics. Mark Zupan, let him be the guy. Somebody else, let him be that. And I've always took second place. And maybe that's part of me not accepting you, saying, Brian, you're a hell of a guy. And it's hard for me to accept. It's hard for me to, yeah, I am a hell of a guy. I'm just not like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But if I inspire others and help others, then that's why I had to talk about the bathroom. That's why I had to talk about the new stuff, the accidents that I have today, bathroom wise or anything like that. It's a process. It's a process. So even though I'm not completed, like you said, I'm growing and better every second. I'd like to think, actually.
Do you like yourself now?
I do. I got some unfinished business to do still, because I like the roughness. I like the hard parts of my life that I went through. What we've went through, the hard parts always turn into our best triumphs, right? When the day I got shot, the ass kicking from my father, the hard winters, the without heat and electric and water, and as a kid, the days where we went hungry. I like that. So I don't want to be silver spoon. No, I don't want that. But then too, that leaves you aside too, that there's still that mafia guy in you sometimes. And it's like, I don't want that, So those things are the parts of me that that I don't like.
Right.
That I like gone.
Yeah, you're aware of them, and again, I think you're going to find in your evolution that it's going to be much like what you went through physically. It's just little by little. It's to have those parts of us that were grown with deep roots, and planted by different people when we were young, and I like to say that we let a lot of other people write on the pages of our lives, and really now the pen's in Brian's hands. So when you take the pen back, you get to decide who you want to be. You get to decide where you're going to go. You get to decide how you're going to go there. And a lot of those old roots are going to die, but it's literally just like learning to hold a fork again. It's like learning to go to the bathroom again. Becoming a different person is just like that. It's just small, incremental little steps about moving towards who you want to be. Does that make sense?
No, it does. It does. And then too, to add to that, as you're growing, life is tugging at you.
Oh yeah.
Life is tugging you this way and that way, and forcing you to deal with some things. Speaking of, my brother just passed away last year. Yeah, geez. 2020, April 9th, 2020. And he would have been 50 in March this year. So now I'm turning 50 in February. So I'm going to pass him. And that was kind of big for me, He my brother, we would grow up together very close. As I went to the suburbs, he went with me. As I went, he went. And passed away. He had two gastric bypass. Everybody in my family's big. So his problem was eating. Anyway, long story short, he had 2 gastric bypass surgeries. He fell out of bed in Mexico after abusing drugs for painkillers and all this shit. He fell out. Something exploded inside, opened up. He bled to death, and that's what I was left with a year ago, and we were left with as a family. And it just made me, as I say, life tugs and pulls you. So that life kind of tugged and pulled me to say, what are you going to do? What is your legacy going to be?
Yeah, I
do. It could be done tomorrow. Just because I'm in a wheelchair doesn't mean I can't have a stroke. Doesn't mean I can't get hit by a car. I can't die tomorrow from something else. So that was a wake up.
Yeah, another opportunity to say, who do I want to be? And that's, I think, and I'll as I do with many of the people I become close to, I will send you. I have a pen. It says "My Life, My Pen" on it. And I'm gonna send that to you in Chicago, because man, the way you're using the pen today, I mean, speaks volumes. And I want to hear now about,
Oh,
I want to hear about now going from
you want to
all
hear
of
about
these struggles, man, to saying, look, I'm going to do this rugby thing because, look, I don't want to minimize this, and I know I don't want you to take it the wrong way, but there's a lot of people that face adversity that feel stuck and they stay stuck. They become a victim of their circumstances.
I hate that.
And there's those who say, I've got a life worth living. And I'm grateful for the wheelchair, because if they didn't make wheelchairs, then I'd be stuck in a bed, and I'm happy that I can get around and do what I want to do. I mean, there's two ways to look at life, but people that overcome have a mindset of resilience. They have a mindset of, this isn't permanent. It's not pervasive, and it's not going to be,
Yeah,
it's not going to be
yeah,
personal to me. It's not going to define me. What's going to define me is what I do with it. And I know Jason Redmond, who was shot 8 times in Afghanistan during the Iraq War. He took a machine gun round right through the back of his head and out his nose. And man, he said, don't come here crying for me, man. This happened to me because doing something I love with people I love, man. And I'm going to get up. I'm going to make a full recovery, which is whatever my body will do. And then 10%, because that's who I am. And that's, he's badass, man. But again, life deals us a hand. We get to play it. And I'm just, I want to learn about how you went from getting dealt this hand
yeah,
and going from a life of crime and drugs and
yep,
chasing you pursuing this. I mean, you saw the video in the look, I'll tell you, the teachers told you drug dealer, you said drug dealer, you became a drug dealer. The hospital showed you a video of wheelchair rugby, you saw wheelchair rugby. I don't think it's any coincidence that all of a sudden you're not only playing rugby, which is amazing, you're also coaching rugby and inspiring others to use their wheelchair. And I think that our mind is a powerful resource when we put our eyes on something. And so how did this come about? And tell us about what this is like, man, because I watch you, I see you, it's fucking cool.
Charlie, let me tell you just
Yeah.
one more darkness into this, man. Because
Yeah.
after the wheelchair video, I was out of the hospital. I went to mom's house, and that was the first time at mom's house since I was 18. Now I'm 28, 26, whatever it is. And my guy calls me. Hey, can you give me a half ounce? $500.
The black
Yeah.
phone
And
rings.
my hands are so fucked. I couldn't even make a bag. I couldn't even tie a bag. I couldn't even do anything. He calls me. I said, man, I needed money, and I need money. So I told him, give me the money, and I'll go run over there and get it for you and come back and everything. But I did it. I got him a half ounce. I got him his half ounce, and I came back, and I'm just a wreck. I was trying to do the bag right, and just shit falling everywhere. And just a little bit of a reminder, I think, from my past, from the bad, saying, no, you ain't doing this shit anymore. You ain't doing this anymore. You can't. Yeah. So I was like, I was done. I wasn't worth it. I finally seen, from start to finish, it's not worth it. Stop. Just fucking stop before you got your mom, you got people who loving you, you got good shit going. Just stop. And you can't anyway. So that was it. That was I didn't use it. It wasn't nothing like that, but it was the money, it was the grab, and that was it. So
it was a little pull. It was a little test from the universe saying, hey man, which way are you going to go? I mean, that was a fork in the road. I mean, that was, and not just a fork in the road, but you picked up the old fork for a little bit and played with it, and you'd become something different though. I mean, isn't it amazing? You really had become that you wanted something different. You become something different. And I love what you said. You have lots of good things going on in your life.
Yeah. And actually I told him, I'm done. I don't want to take your money anymore. You're a good guy. You got a new daughter. That $500 a week, man, put in your daughter's education. Do something. I'm done. I can't help you anymore. So anyway, I was done. With that, my mom took me to a rugby practice. She picked me up and put me in my chair and picked me up and put me in the car and took me to practice. I went with a diaper on.
Yeah.
With a diaper on, and then thinking back now, it's so weird. So I hate that when a guy tells me that he's in a wheelchair and he's in a diaper. I was like, what can I do for you to get you the hell out of that? Because they got bags and catheters and everything you can do. So anyhow, I didn't know at the time. I was a baby. I went to this rugby practice, baby freshman, and there's guys. See, rugby is a sport that's 4 guys on the court, and of the 4, there's an 8-point system. So you can have 2-2-2-2-2. You can have 1-5-2-5, 1-5-2-5. You can have 1-3, any combination. And what is that? The numbers? Okay, I'm a 2. My hands are not so good. I got triceps. Okay, I got biceps. I got some chest. I can grab a ball if I need to. I'm a 2. There's guys that are C6, C5, C6.
Oh, I see what you're saying. The number
So they got
equates to your
less
ability.
mobility.
Yeah, right.
So they have no tricep.
Makes
Hey,
sense.
raise your arm. I can't. So they can't. Raise your other tricep. I can't. So what are they? They're the blockers. Those are the offensive linemen. They do the dirty work. The defensive men and the blockers. The guys 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5 are ball handlers. They're ball handlers, catchers, they're tossers. That's where I fell into. So the other guys at practice that I was seeing are 1s, 0.5s, and 1.5. I saw some higher pointers, but I wasn't impressed. But the other guys that no triceps, I went into their group and what do you do? Oh, you got a diaper on, dude? Take that shit off. Put a condom cath on. Really? Because I'm going to the bathroom every time I push my chair. I'm pissing a little bit. And they're like, no, dude, no. Okay, lesson 1, get a leg bag catheter. Lesson 2, leave your mom at home. I said, how do I get here? Yeah.
This is unbelievable, man. It's so inspiring.
There's no oh, poor baby. No.
Right.
Leave mom at home and do it. Well, how the hell do I get here? You either start driving or we're going to pick you up. Oh my God.
So these men and women on the rugby team are teaching you how to live.
How to be a man.
They're raising you up.
Pick it up and go. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Emotional.
Yeah.
So, I see the guys with no triceps and everything after practice. Let me show you how I get in my car. Let me show you. Oh my God, how? Okay, so I'm sitting there, gets up, over into the car, wheels onto the floor, chair over his head, into the passenger seat, close the door, lower the window, see you next week. Wait, huh? I gotta go, my wife's waiting for me. So holy shit. No, I'm leaving like, Mom, we got to get hand controls on your car, or we got to figure this out. I need a car, and you can't come with me. So, there was a victims fund for people who were shot in Chicago. I think it was $30,000. 20,000 went to my mom for the house of rehab, and no, I'm sorry, it was 10,000 for the ramp, lift, and everything for her house. Then I bought a car with 10,000, the other 10, and the other 10 I put into stocks, which I lost later. I was trying day trading in the 90s and it didn't work. It was actually 2001 what it was.
Good. More lessons.
Bought the car. I ain't worried about the stocks. Bought the car, started going to practice, and went from low guy, and it's funny too, because I'm going to say I went from the low guy to the top guy in a matter of probably 3 years.
I do know.
I always put when I go into a situation, I always put me on the bottom. I'm going to get you, and I'm going to get you, and I'm going to get you until I get up to that guy on top. And every practice, I'll chase the low guy, the next lowest.
Yeah.
On and up the list until I got to the top, and then after that, it was no stopping, because I had everything good. Now you're looking at the Brian that you're looking at today that can get up and go to Walmart and go to the store and go get a pork chop and cook a grill and and drive to Florida for a tournament and drive back by myself and stay at a hotel and no diapers. You know what I mean? So it's God, it was just huge. It was huge. So anyway, good stuff. I got rugby going, got to a top level, and then I find out that there's Olympics, Paralympics. What? Special Olympics? No, not Special Olympics, Brian. Paralympics. So what the hell is that? That's for disabled. That's for the veterans. That's for the this, the that, the amputees. Really? So okay, there's a national team. Let's go. So I went to tryouts and made national team. And we went to Brazil and went to Argentina. But even before I made the national team, we were playing that tournament I told you my father was at.
Yeah.
And I just played. I don't even know where it came from, but it came,
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was asked to go to Argentina to teach rugby. Argentina, where is that? I'd never been out of Humboldt Park. I've never been out of Chicago, Oklahoma, as far as I've been, California. So got my passport and all, and took off to Argentina with the USA coach to teach rugby. Man. And from then on, it was just a love of teaching, a love of giving, a love of seeing the results of your giving. And what I mean, and I'm still emotional, I'm going to stay emotional, because when I went to Argentina, when I went to Brazil, when I went to India, I would show the guys like they showed me.
Man, that's how we, I mean, that's, the greatest source of happiness. If you're listening to this and you don't feel that the greatest source of happiness that you can ever have is to be selflessly involved in another person's life and to watch the lights go on in another recovering addict, another paraplegic, another disabled person who you can help and say, I've been there, I've done that, and I've got better, and I will help you.
And get your ass up. Stop your crying. Stop your blaming. Stop your pointing. You. Let's go.
Man, and I'll tell you, this is, when it comes to Overcome Out Loud, if there's anything that I've ever wanted out of doing this podcast, it's to meet people like you and to share your inspiration with the world. Because, I mean, you were a crime-ridden, drug-dealing,
I didn't give a shit about nobody, me.
And so if you're in a dark place, you don't have to stay in a dark place. If you're in a depression, if you're feeling low, if you're feeling a victim of your life, if you want to change, then change what you do and you'll change what you get. And by the way, like me and like Brian, you don't have to be sick. You don't have to get shot to get better. You don't have to. For us, it took a bottom. For a lot of people, it takes, getting punched in the face to get back up and become somebody different. But you could do all the lesson is you can do all of this stuff today.
Yeah,
man,
totally can. You got to decide. You got to put your name on it and go. Right? I mean,
put your name on it and go.
Yeah, that's what I told my team as I was hired this time to be the assistant coach. I told them I wouldn't take this job if I didn't believe in you guys. I wouldn't take it, just to be a coach, because it's not all that super big for me. But I believe in you guys, and I'm going to put my name on this team, and is why I'm doing all my workouts now. Yeah, I don't want to be embarrassed on the court either. When I got a tournament in Michigan in October 2nd and 3rd, and then I got a tournament in North Carolina 7, 8, and 9, PVA tournament, veterans tournament. So yeah, I do it because I don't want to get embarrassed, but I also do it so I can take it to my team and show them, look, guys, because as you know, we in the States here now we're onto this mindfulness. We're onto this thing. This kick. I don't know how long it's been going on, but I just jumped on, and it seems like it's new. But the mindfulness train has been going for a minute here in the United States. It's not so big in Brazil. It's just getting started. I got guys that I got to tap into, that I got to get their minds off of. They got help at home. They got people pushing them in wheelchairs sometimes. They got,
Yep.
I got to figure out how I take everything I got, put it in a box, carry it to Brazil, and give it to them. As far as the toughness, get mad. Don't let your mom do it. Know that she's going to get older. You gotta take pride in yourself and do it. You know what I mean? And these guys are they're soft. They're a little soft.
Well, I mean, I think, you bring up an interesting point, because obviously I train, teach, and coach mental toughness and mental performance, and mental toughness is abnormal. I mean, our mind is built, our mindset is built for comfort. We're built to be safe. We're not built to thrive. We're not built to take risks. We're not built to challenge the norms. Our minds are meant to keep us safe and comfortable. Stay in bed a little longer, watch a little more Netflix, let somebody push you. It's abnormal to push yourself out of your comfort zone. But what you are is, you're an example of how everything good is outside of your comfort zone, man. Everything good that's happened to you in your life comes from the day you decided that I'm going to go up to the gym when I'm at the hospital, and I'm going to start lifting the fork. I'm going to start lifting an ounce at a time. I'm going to not be a victim of this. If I'm going to be in a wheelchair, I'm going to figure out how to be the best version of myself in a wheelchair that I can be. And that's abnormal, because our minds, we've got this kind of ancient mind in a modern time. Our mind's built to kind of stay in a cave, build a fire, stay warm, don't fall off a cliff. There's a big world out there, man. And it's real exciting if we can push our minds, just outside its natural limits. So yeah, of course we've got to train it, because it's not natural, but there, up until now, hasn't been such concrete mental training that we can help people with. So, and I'm looking forward. We're going to do some mental training for the team in Brazil when you go down there together. We're going to get after it with them. Yeah.
For sure. For sure. Yeah, no, awesome. I'm definitely looking forward to that. We're off next week. Next week on the 24th, I'll start my journey to Brazil for our training camp.
And I assume you'll be posting your journey down there. Can you let everybody know? I enjoy following you. I'm inspired by your workouts. Can you give some people how they can follow you and be inspired by your journey, dude?
Sure. My Instagram is at Brian Zong, BrianZong, and wheelchair rugby. Wheelchair rugby, no matter where you're at, you can be reached by wheelchair rugby. IWRF.com or .org, I believe. I'm not really sure for sure, but that's International Wheelchair Rugby Federation. For any other country, if you're in a country, Colombia, and you want to reach rugby, go to IWRF. If you're in the United States, it's USWRA, US Wheelchair Rugby Association. So it's USWRA. I think again, .com or .org. I'm not sure, because they get technical with that. And then for Brazil, it's abrc.org.br, and that is our league in Brazil. Something that I didn't start, but I was a big part of starting. When I went to Brazil, they didn't have rugby. They didn't have wheelchair rugby. So I was their first coach. Probably the second national coach there. And now I'm back as assistant coach, and I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm coming at it from a different side this time too, as well.
My mom, my Sicilian mom, always says the eyes are a gateway to the soul. And I mean, I wish I could take a screenshot. In fact, Heather, hand me my phone, man. I'm taking a screenshot. I got to tell you, the guy that I'm looking at, I bet he looks nothing like that guy in the mirror with the droopy eyes that you couldn't look at, man. Your eyes are a gateway to the soul.
Can't take that picture now because I'm crying now.
That's awesome, dude. That's you and I. No, man, I this is what overcoming is. And I'll just ask you the last question, before we sign off. For anybody who is struggling, whether it's with a disability, a medical diagnosis, substance abuse, alcoholism, addiction, family trauma, eating disorder, for anybody who's suffering in silence right now, what would this version of yourself want to tell them about the number one thing they can do to move from where they are to where they want to be?
Wow. If I had something to say to that person, the first step, you got to decide you're better than this. You're better than this. I would say you're better than this. You got to know you are better than this, and want better, and just start with something, even if it's throwing that number away of the cocaine connect, throw it away, delete it. You know what I mean? Take a little step, like we were saying, little steps. But even if it's that little step of just getting rid of a contact, So it make it harder for you to get high, make it harder for you to go out, make it harder for you to do your dirt. But you're better than that. You're definitely better than that.
You're better than that. Well, thank you
Yeah.
so much, Brian. What a treat. I cannot wait to stay in
Oh.
touch with you, man. It's been just such a privilege to share this moment with you, and we'll
Yes, sir.
tag all your connections. And thank you
Oh,
again
my
so
God.
much for spending time with me, dude. You're awesome.
And likewise, Charlie, I've been watching more and more of your videos and more of your story and the things that you guys have been doing, and it's awesome, man. I hope the best for what we're doing and what you're doing. You know, up and up and up,
Up and up, man. Awesome. And we'll
Thank
see you
you,
down the
buddy.
road.
Hey,
Thanks so
party.
much.